This podcast is brought to you by Independent Building Advice. IBA acknowledges traditional owners of the land and waters this podcast is recorded on. If you find this episode helpful, follow us for more so we can continue putting out free value for all homeowners in Australia. It really goes a long way. Enjoy the episode.
Hi there, this is Behan and welcome back to the Home Building Podcast. In this podcast, we try to give people as much tips and advice and insights into the building industry, just really help you have a better experience and give you some information that might just help you along the way and ideally avoid mistakes or at least deal with them better. So with this podcast, we have got a request from Adam Wilson. Shout out to you. Thank you very much for asking us for a topic and love to indulge it. In fact, I think it's a topic that a lot of people find interesting, and that is lighting and electrical in your home. Do's, don'ts, what to think about. And I think it's a great topic for us to talk about. There's a lot of mistakes that people make with this. And there's a lot of things that people just don't think about. And that's probably actually the big one, is you just don't consider these things. With most building, it's quite an overwhelming process, the pre-start process. That's normally when lighting is discussed. And obviously part of this process is that when you actually do the lighting part of it, it's normally at the end of a long pre-start. We've been choosing colours all day, you're fatigued, the pre-start consultant or interior designer is fatigued, and it's normally rushed or not thought about. So the most prior preparation you can do before going to that meeting, the better. And this podcast, if that's of interest to you, will be right up your alley. Well, I hope it is anyway. Now, lighting's such a broad topic, and feature lighting can make or break a room, but also if you drop a pin on the carpet or on the ground, you want to be able to find it, and you want enough lighting for that so you can actually find it. And that's that fine mix between mood lighting, feature lighting, and all this sorts of stuff. So in this podcast, what I want to cover is some things to think about. Now, we can actually give this feedback as part of our service at Independent Building Advice, but for you playing at home, if you're looking at your lighting plan, I want to give you some things to think about to help you go through your plan and consider things as you go through it. Okay, and hopefully got some tips for you that's going to help you think about things that's outside your scope. So let me just explain to you a bit of background. When you actually build a home with, generally I'm talking about project builders, but it does go across the board. Most people are comparing maybe one or two different jobs and their prices, and they're trying to find out they're getting good value for money. And the builders have to be competitive price-wise. Now, one way to be competitive is to pull as much stuff out of the home as possible so you don't recognise what's been pulled out. They appear cheaper, you sign with them, and often you find out later what those hidden costs are. One hidden cost here, which is always an issue, is electrical, not allowing enough money for electrical. So most builders will put one light per room, one power point or one double power point per room as a minimum, because that's really what's required. But that's never enough, right? So you need to spend more. So what we do for our clients is we normally allow anywhere between $5,000 to $10,000 extra over the standard allowance, so they have some extra money that they can spend at pre-start. Now, what will happen here is if you don't spend that money, you just don't borrow that money. It's not part of it. They just remove that leftover. But it just gives you that bit of a buffer to get your lighting plan just right. So please always allow $5,000 to $10,000 more. I mean, you can allow $200,000 to $300,000 more if you wanted to, because you can go nuts. But just as a rough guide, if you want to have some decent lighting in your home, the base is never enough. All right, so that's the first thing. Second thing I want to talk about is something that is a pet hate of mine, something that I often, get frustrated when I go to someone's houses, and that is when you press the doorbell and it doesn't ring because it's battery and the batteries run flat. So please, please, please hardwire your doorbells. I want to say that first because it's one thing that's the most important. It always gets forgotten. If you're going to have a Ring doorbell, make sure it's hardwired so the wires go there so you can actually have power to it constantly. And then when people like me, when we come to your door, not that we door knock, but when we go there, I'm not standing out the front there in the pouring rain wondering why the doorbell's not working and if you're coming to the home. Okay, so hardwire your doorbell, getting that out of the way. So when you've got a lighting plan, and let's say you've got different parts of the home, what you want to consider, and this is going to help you do your lighting. Now, I don't have a plan in front of me, so I can't point to your particular plan, but I'm going to give you the tools to think about different elements of your home. So the first thing is, if you have a lock-up garage, how are you going to come home most days? Well, most likely you're going to park into the garage, you're going to come through the shopper's door, and if you have shopping bags, you're going to go to the kitchen. And if you're going to go to the bedrooms and that, you're going to go to the bedrooms, obviously. So you want to think about where the light switch is going to be. Now, on your plans, a circle is generally showing you where the light is, and the dotted line to a wall is showing you where the switch is going to be. So that's what you really want to look at. So you want to think about, okay, I'll walk in the door, open the door, bang, I can turn the light switch on, right? And ideally, that sounding when you do a few of them at once is what you're going for. Where is it like? Is it convenient? Okay. And then you want to think about what rooms and what direction you're going to go to. Where are the following lights to that? So if it's a hallway, one light switch, you want to turn on all the lights in that hallway. If you're going to go from there through the scullery to the kitchen, for example, you want to make sure that it's easy for you to turn those lights on when you're coming home. If you're going to go to the bedroom area, you might want to have a two-way switch that you can turn the switch on when you walk in, and you also have a switch on the other side so you can turn that light off and on. So you think about where you're walking in the home. Now, that's when you come in the front door, so through the garage door. Are you going to come through the front door? Are the kids going to come from home, from school? They're going to turn the light on? Are your guests going to be coming in, turning the light on? Are you going to be coming through the front door? And if that's the case, yes, you want to have a light switch near the front door. But more and more these days, where if you have a garage, you're not going to necessarily go through the front door. So having a light switch right near the front door may not be necessary for you. You're better off maybe having a little bit further down the hallway, and that's closer to maybe a bedroom door or closer to more convenient area for where people are most likely going to walk. For example, someone comes over and they ring the doorbell because you hardwired it, and you come to the front door and you want to turn the light on. Do you have to walk all the way to the front door to turn the light on? Or could you just walk maybe a metre or two away, turn that light switch on because it's more convenient, because there's more arteries coming from different bedrooms to that light switch. So I hope that makes sense. So just think about where the light switch is placed and do that. Now, a great way to do this is wear different hats in the family. And what I mean by that is, say you're a couple with two kids, and let's say the kids are John and Mary, right? You want to look at yourselves, okay, at night, you want to get a glass of milk from the fridge or a glass of water or whatever. You wake up, you walk out of your bedroom, down to the kitchen. Where are the light switches? Where are the lights? Is that going to light it up nicely for you, right? Really important, okay? So can you turn them on conveniently to get to that spot? Then you look at John and Mary and you go, okay, well, if they come out of their bedrooms and they're scared at night or they want to get a glass of milk as well, can they turn the lights on conveniently and get to the kitchen, get to your bedroom, get to wherever they need to be, depending on who's living in the house? If you have a guest in your home and they wake up in the middle of the night and they're a bit, I don't know where everything is, can they easily turn the light switches on from their rooms? And this is often where a two-way switch works, where two switches turn on the same lights for you. So as you're walking through the home, you can go, okay, this person here wants to get from A to B. Can they turn the lights on for that? Right? And that might work really well for you. So that way you're getting a really good idea of where different people are coming from for the home. Same as if you come through the front door, where is John and Mary? Can they get to their bedrooms, turn the lights on? Or do they have to walk to the other side of the room to turn the light on? Okay. If you're going to go downstairs, like let's say you got a couple of stairs you have to go down, or upstairs, is the light convenient so you're not doing it in the dark? All right. Are you going to be in the way of furniture? So you really want to think about those lights where different people walk in the home and make sure it's convenient for them. All right. So that's really important to look at. Next thing to look at that a lot of people forget about is garden lighting. So let's say you're having a party at your house and you're going to have people at the back and you want to light up your garden with this mood lighting, right? Well, do you want to go out the back and try and light all the different lanterns in your backyard? Or would you like a switch, right, that's on your wall inside the home that allows you a separate switch to allow you to turn the garden lighting on and then lights up that backyard and give you that mood lighting and makes your garden look fantastic? So if that's the case, you don't need to do that while you're building the home. You can actually set that up so that actual switch turns on a circuit to outside, and then you can get an electrician in later, once you've done your landscaping and gardening, to come in there and fix all that up for you and make that look brilliant. But it's nice to have that switch that turns it on. And the same thing applies to the front door, and the same thing would apply to if you had a wall at the front of your home and you had a security gate, that you can turn the light on out the front if someone's going to drop something off, or they're coming here, or your friends are going to come and you want to make your house lit up. You want to have that nice light switch there where you can turn it on. And it's a great backdrop in your garden. If you're having a dinner party, you're inside, say, and you see your garden nicely lit up with plants, but having that one switch for you is going to make a big difference. So this is something that people often forget about, and it makes a big difference. And please leave a comment down the bottom to thank me once the house is built. So, great idea. But that's a really big thing for you, right? So having those light switches that you're thinking about. Where you're hanging out your laundry at night, down the side of the home. It's dark at night. You want to hang the washing out. You don't want to go out there with a torch. Think about where your light's going to go, that the switches in the laundry can turn it on. Now, in saying that, think about where your washing line is going to go. You don't want to have a light where the washing line is going to go and it makes it all dark. Okay, so you don't want to be black because the clothesline is actually blocking the light. So you want to have a couple of lights out there that's going to light up where you're hanging things, and it's nice and easy for you. So think about convenience, okay? And I would actually have a few lights on one switch down the side of that home and on the other side. So if you hear a noise outside or you hear it banging and you don't know what it is, you can turn the light on from inside, light it up, see what it is. If someone's trying to break in, it scares them away, or it makes you feel more comfortable that you can actually see out there and make it work for you. So it's really good to have those light switches ready for you and convenient, but you want to light up your backyard and your home as much as possible and be able to control it from inside the home. And these are things that people don't think about. Too late, they get the keys and go, oh, I wish I had done X, Y, Z. It's great. Another light switch is if you have a glass splashback and you've got lighting outside, make sure you've got a switch to light that up. Light it from below and light up all the plants. You can have it from above, or you can have both. That mood lighting's great. You're watching a movie, you want to have a bit of light on. That outdoor light outside that glass splashback makes a big difference for you, and it's beautiful. So really important as far as an overall lighting of your home is think about these switches, how it works. When you're looking at bedrooms and living areas, you could have 2 downlights in those areas. Now, you don't, and there's so many different lighting ideas around this. You don't necessarily have to have ceiling lights. You can do wall lights, and that's probably a more advanced podcast we'll do on how to do some really cool lighting ideas out there. But I'm talking about most standard sort of homes. If you're going to have 2 lights in that bedroom, that's normally going to cover you pretty well to light up that room, because you want to look at the arc of the glow of that light, and you want to make sure that that's going to give you a really good coverage of that home. You could do 4, but sometimes it's a bit of an overkill, but 2 will actually do a good job for you. You want to think about lamps and like little side lights. That makes a great mood setting for your room. For example, if you have like a living room, just jump into the living room, and you have a couple of lamps around that room, it gives you that nice feeling of homeliness, and it's great. Now, if that is your plan and you do like that look, I would then encourage you also to actually have those power points on a circuit that goes to a switch in the wall and it turns those lights on. This is really cool stuff, right? So if you want to have a couple of lamps, you have like a bit of mood lighting for the home, you've got people coming over for dinner party, you want to make it look cool and functional, and you have a switch on the wall and it just turns on those lamps, looks amazing. You're not forever turning the lamps on around the home, because you're less likely going to turn all the lamps on. It's just another chore you have to do if you have to do them all individually. But if you have a switch for it, turns them all on. Amazing. Okay. Now, on that same note, that you might have a dimmer switch over your main areas, which allows you to control the light. My philosophy is, if in doubt, use a dimmer. Like, you'll never regret it. And I would have your living areas on at least 2 different options there. One to either dim it, or you have a set of lights and then another separate set of lights, so you can actually control the room in your main living areas. Okay, so it's really important to do that. Dimmers in bedrooms are great. If you just, you might just want to chill out and read a book or something, but you just don't want this glaring light that you're staring at, but a lamp's not really going to cover it for you. So just really think about when a dimmer's good for you and not for you. If you're not sure, that mood lighting goes a long way. Even watching a movie, I like, if I'm watching a movie and I want to see what popcorn I'm eating or whatever, I like to have a bit of light, but I don't want it too bright that I'm going to ruin my experience doing it. Especially in theatre rooms, man, you want to be able to control that light really well. So think about how you're going to use each room. Another massive tip for this, which I just don't think people really do enough, is go to Officeworks or wherever, buy yourself some sketch paper, right? Buy some tracing paper that you can see through and put that over your plan. Get a pen. I like to use 2 different colours. I like to use, let's say, a blue and a green. So I use blue for lights and, say, green for PowerPoints. This makes it really clear on a page. And physically draw in your furniture. Where's your couch going to go? Where's your coffee table going to go? Are you going to have a lamp here? Are you going to have a fireplace? What are you going to light up? Now, the reason why I'm saying do this is it's going to determine where you want your lights, what's going to be over it. So if you've got a reading nook, right, you want your light above you to light up your book, okay? You don't want to be in front of it to shadow you. If you're going to have a couch and you've got like a coffee table there, do you want that lit up? What do you actually want lit up? And that furnishing is going to put things in the right place. So if you're trying to light up it right above your couch and your couch doesn't work in that right spot or doesn't fit there, it's out of kilter. So you knowing a rough furniture, you can still change your mind obviously, but if you work out a rough furniture plan, it's going to help you get the lights in the right spot for what you need. If you are thinking about, or you're in the process of looking at your electrical and lighting plan, until the 30th of August 2026, right, we are going to offer free lighting advice and feedback, and all you need to do is send your plans through Conditions do apply. If you send your plan to our team, now the actual email to send it to will be in the description of these notes here. If you send it to us, we'll look at it for free up until the 30th of August. You do need to say that you've come from the Home Building Podcast. We do want to know where you've come from. And if you say that, up until 30th, one of our designers will look at your plan and give you really good constructive feedback on your electrical and lighting plan up until the 30th of August. The reason why we're doing this is we do want to help people. We often see there's problems with the electrical plans that they do, so we're trying to give as much help as we can. So please send it through. Happy to help you, and hopefully you enjoy this podcast. Interesting, I caught up with a couple of hours the other day, and we're talking about their bed. They had the master bed here. They had their lamps on the side there, and she likes reading in bed. And that's cool. But the thing is, though, the lighting plan that they had planned won't light her book. She won't be able to see it because the lights on the sides here, they're directional lights up and down, and the main lights are going to, that's not very ambient lighting and lying better. There's bright lights everywhere. So ideally what we want to do is just 3 or 4 little lights directly above the bed on a separate switch by the bed. You can do his and hers, so you can turn one or the other off. And that allows her to read her book with light coming down, nice, good lighting, and she could turn that off and have the main lights on if she's not reading, or one side can control the other. It's very simple to do. It's almost unnoticeable having that light there, but that light coming directly above you on your book is perfect for reading. And if he's going to sleep or vice versa, you can actually just turn that side of the light off. It's not affecting the other person. It's a really simple way of thinking about lighting, but it's something that will really pay off for you later. Okay. Now, often with electricians, they can easily run this later for you, but you want to make sure, let's say if you can't decide, you want to make sure that your switch that conduit will turn that light on, right? So let's say you go, I don't really know where I want to put my lights in this room just yet. What I'll do is I'll get an electrician in later, which is great, and often that can save you money. But what you need to do is you need to make sure the switch on the wall is going to turn that light on, right, in the roof. So you can do what's called a junction box. So what that means is that the switch goes on the wall, goes up to your little box that's in the roof, and then the electrician can just run his lights off that at a later point. However, if you are building a brick home and you want to run that later and there's no conduit going down there, they can't do it. So they have to rip all the plaster off, redo the wall. They just can't do it. So if you're building a brick home, it's definitely in your best interest, right, to make sure you get your lights as best as possible, or at least run that junction box into the ceiling for you to have that options later if you want to do it. If you're doing a timber framed home, it is a lot easier, but often you have all the insulation in there, you have paneling in there. It's not as easy as it used to be to just get into that, to move those power points later. If you have a double brick home, traditionally what we'd normally have is you have a brick on the 2 lots of bricks and you just run the power through the middle there. But these days you have a lot of permacav in the walls, which is an insulation in the walls, and you can't just run it through anymore. So that old way of doing it is not that easy, or it's not as easy as you would think it would be as in the past. So just be wary. You do want to spend the time on your lighting plan, electrical plan, just to make sure you get it right. But these are the things we're talking about. So furnish your house. Make sure that you've got furniture in the right spot, and it's going to give you the best idea of where you're going to be. Think about where different people are going to walk around the home. And then think about how you're going to use each area. So for example, let's talk about the kitchen, right? Kitchen's a really important part of lighting. So I'm 6'2". If I have a light behind me, it's going to shadow my desk or my table where I'm working, right? If I'm in the kitchen. So if I'm actually in the kitchen there and I have a light behind me, it's going to shadow it. I can't see it properly. So you ideally always want to have light directly above your bench. That's your workbench. It's going to light up where your hands are going to be. Much better way to go. If you've got let's say you've got an island bench, like a galley kitchen, you've got an island bench, you've got a bench behind you, you want to light underneath those overhead cupboards to make sure that your bench is lit up. Now you can do that with a strip lighting, or you can do that with lights that are actually into the overhead cupboards. Great ways of doing it, but you want to make sure your bench is lit up, not one light behind you. Okay, if you've got a skylight going into your kitchen, I love a good skylight. If you've got a skylight going into your kitchen, yes, that's awesome light for your kitchen, but don't forget that's light during the day. You know, the moonlight's not going to be that great for you. So you need to make sure that you're not relying on skylight. You need to have some sort of light there with the bench underneath. So sometimes you get those lights that come down and they're like horizontal. That could work on either side of your skylight to light up your bench, but you want to make sure that light is there and that you can control that light when you want it. Okay, so just think about how you're going to use your kitchen, where the light's going to be, what kind of light you've got there. In pantries, often these days, they light up each shelf, so it lights the pantry so you can see what's in there. That cup of soup that's been there for 3 years. You can find that at the back there. So you just want to make sure everything's lit up well for you in the kitchen, and make sure that it's all user friendly for you. If in doubt, the more lights, the better. And again, this is stuff we help our clients with, but this is giving you a general overview, right? So lighting in the kitchen, that also applies to bathrooms. Again, if you're applying makeup, you want to make sure you can see your face. You have lights around the mirror or directly above you. It's going to reflect off the mirror and back at you. You want to be able to see these things. In the shower, you want to have a light above you so you can actually see what you're doing. Anything that you're working, if you have a bar area or you have a study nook, you want to make sure that that light is looking right upon the area that you're at, okay? And that's really just making the house functional for you. All right? So plan it out. The more you plan, the better, right? Go home, hang out with your partner, just work on your lighting plan, work on your lighting plan. The more you do up front, the more it's going to pay for you later. Okay. So now I'm going to get into a little bit more things that you should think about, but you may not think about. Okay, let's say you have a nice big long wall. Well, what's your plan for that wall? If you don't have a nice big long wall, they're awesome if you plan them out right. Otherwise, just a big long wall and it's boring. So you might think about artwork that you've bought. You might think about, a great picture of your family. What are you going to put on that wall and how are you going to light it? Because if you have a nice piece of artwork there and it's all just shaded out and shadow, you're not really going to enjoy it. So if you have some really nice artwork, hey, I'm going to put that piece of artwork there. What lights are you going to do? You're going to have a light that's reflecting on it beautifully, or you're going to have lights in your hallway. My wife and I, when we were in Italy, we found a beautiful etching. We've got a light dedicated to that to shine it and gives little shadows on that. Think about your artwork and how you're going to use it. Another great option for you there is to have little lights down near the ground, maybe about 30 centimeters off the ground, and it lights the hallway. Great for steps. Right, but I would have all that connected to your main lights in the hallway. You turn one light on, turns all that on, and then if guests are over or whoever, they can see where the stairs are, unless people trip over them. That's a great way of lighting it. Good thing if you're going to have full-on stairs, to have lights on the stairs to see where they're going. It's a nice feature. It makes your house look a little bit classier. But you want to think about how that works. What's going to go on that hallway? Are you going to have are you going to have shelving that's going to feature something that's precious to you? Have lights on it, right? So the lights actually glow on that. If you're going to have like a fireplace, do you want to have symmetrical lights on there to light up the fireplace? So when you just plan out your home, what's going to go where, pencil something in there. You can always change your mind. How do you light that up? Okay, like I said earlier, if you have a bar area, do you want to have that lit up when you have drinks behind you? It really depends on what you want to do. But if you don't plan this out, we'll just figure out what art we're going to do later, you'll regret it because you haven't set up for it. Okay, so really, really just think about it. Argue with each other now. It's going to save you arguing with things later. All right. Now, to talk about the front of the home, a couple of things with the front of the home with lighting is you really want to think about guests are coming over, you want to turn the lights on. You want to make that really convenient for yourself, right? Like I said, you don't necessarily need to have it near the front door unless you're coming through the front door all the time. You could have it further down the hallway, turn the lights on, front's lit up. So a couple of things you want to do is you want to have your front gate or front doorbell, or obviously have it hardwired, but also have light out there to light it up so people can easily walk through and feel welcome when they come into your home. If you are going to light it up, you might want to have feature up and down lights that shoot up and down, and that just lights up the front of your home, your garage. You can have it on the garage or your entryway. I think that makes a big difference. I like the idea of having sensor lights at the front there. I just think it's just super easy. We use ours all the time. You always turn them on permanently if you wanted to, but that when guests come up, they just know they're entering the home. The light's coming on. I think it's good for security. That's a really good option for you. Okay, so just make sure the front's lit up beautifully, and you want your house to look great. You want people to drive up and go, oh, wow, that looks amazing. Makes a big difference. It's also convenient and also hopefully scares away burglars as well. Okay. Now, while I'm on the subject of sensor lights, I love a good sensor light. You'll probably, the more you hear me talk about this stuff, the more I love it. And where I love it internally is when it's super practical. So for example, a scullery, love a good sensor light. You walk into the scullery, you're carrying bags of shopping, or you're trying to get in there and bring out the cake. Rather than having to turn the switch on with your elbow, you actually walk in there, sensor light comes on, done. Awesome for walk-in linens. My kids are notorious for leaving the lights on. Great for understairs storage areas. You get the sensor light, turns it on for you. You might have a room like a powder room, although don't leave the sensor on too short. Give them a bit of time to go to the bathroom and leave. But it's just those things that don't start, keep light on all the time. It's super convenient. It's another thing they don't have to do while they're in there. A great sensor light's awesome for areas that you're walking through. So I do like a good sensor light. They do cost a bit more, but they are super handy for rooms that you come into, go out of all the time, and you don't spend that much time in them. So sensor lights are great from that perspective, and makes it all work really well for you. The reality is what I'm doing is giving you a really broad overview here. We can get more specific with people as well. You can do some really cool wall lights. Some philosophies around actually building houses and doing electrical lights to have no ceiling lights at all, because you can do some really funky, cool stuff. Mint Lighting does a lot of amazing stuff. I follow them. I highly recommend that. They're just architectural lighting experts. You've got to be careful though. You can absolutely spend a fortune lighting a house. You can spend a lot of money. So how you spend money is up to you. What I do recommend for you, a hot tip, if you're building a house and extending it, it's a long process. Don't get all your lights through the builder. They're going to put it in charge margin on it. Look out for specials. Look out for when things are on sales. You've got 12 months, 18 months maybe. Go out there, find something that's on sale and go, hey, do you know what? That's on sale now. Grab it then, store it somewhere in your home, then bring it out when you're ready to go. You can do some really cool things. I remember my wife and I found a really expensive light once at a really expensive shop, and then about 3 months later, they bought it out at Behan, and it was almost looked identical. We knew it was identical, but no one else did, and it was a fraction of the cost. And we went, oh, that was a great purchase. Look out for lights that you like and bargains. If you can get it cheap and then get the builder to install it or get an electrician later, you're going to save yourself a lot of money. This is a really broad overview. I really hope this helps. We're just trying to give you some things to think about, but please plan it. You will absolutely appreciate it at a point down the track. If you do like this, or you want other topics you want us to cover, please leave like and follow us for starters. But tell us what you want to hear about. Tell us what you want to know about. The Home Building Podcast is here to help the individual have a great experience building, and we have done a lot of houses. I've done over 1,000 homes in my career. I've helped a lot of people. We want to help you have the best experience possible. Thanks very much for listening.